Horror Lies.
Hey guys, Rob from Georgia here with you. I'm your Wednesday evening host here at BodyBags. It is week 389, and if I seem to come across as a little bit under the weather, it is because I am pretty positive I have been bit by that viral bug that we all detest. Got a test on Monday, and so I appreciate anything and everything thrown my way. That being said, we do have a review to do, and it is, okay, so where we usually do label week, second week in, now we've decided every other month we're going to continue the label thing, but to sort of break it up a little bit, we are going to be doing a year, 1 month, and then the second week in the next month we'll be back to the label, and then so forth, alternating. And so we decided as a group that the first list of years that we work through is the birth year of every reviewer. So this week is 1980, and we are beginning with the birth year from our Monday reviewer Glenn, aka BDG Reviews, which in fact, this is great because last night, as you can see what I'm doing, last night we just did a Black and White Nights commentary, first one in a long time. Me and Glenn and Will Cardinal from the Graveyard Podcast, formerly known as the Bay of Blood, of course, and what a phenomenal night that was, looking at this movie in black and white. And so look for that somewhere down the road, and when time comes and it drops, I'll be sure to include the link down below. But we are talking the year 1980, and you know, my favorite year in film cinema is, of course, 1982. But you know what? At a real close second place is 1980. I didn't realize till today that I could rattle off seven Italian directors who had movies out in 1980. Fulci and Lenzi and D'Amato and Argento, Cosi, Mattei, Diodato. I mean, everything from City of the Living Dead, which may be one of my all-time favorites from Fulci, Nightmare City, of course, Anthropophagus, Inferno, Contamination, Hell of the Living Dead, and Cannibal Holocaust. I mean, what a year for Italian gore cinema. I mean, 1980, man. And also, every review that drops this week is an original review, never having been reviewed before on BodyBags, which makes it even more special. So 7 films from 1980 never reviewed. This is one of them. Humanoids from the Deep. This is a Roger Corman production. This is, of course, my Shout Factory Blue edition of this film. This was directed by Barbara Peters, and there is a lot of controversy with her as director on this. Begins with the original title as Beneath the Darkness, and really more of an homage to Creature from the Black Lagoon, but as Corman would have it, and later intervened and brought on second unit director to, let's just say, flesh out some more of the Corman-esque elements that we're so accustomed to in his films, that Barbara Peters just really wasn't digging. And so she thought she had one movie, and come to find out, she had another one. And so there is a conversation there, but I mean, this is Roger Corman, and so you have to figure, when Roger Corman says, I need X, Y, and Z, well, he needs X, Y, and Z, and if you're not willing to deliver, well then either A, much of what you did will be kept, but there is going to be integration of other material, if not a second unit director to come on and do some of the other things. Great movie from 1980, though. This was a favorite of mine, renting back as a kid, going to the video stores on VHS, of course. And basically what you have here, man, is a monster. And it still lives within the shadows of Creature from the Black Lagoon. But what you have here is, of course, man messing with nature run amok, man. And this is exploitation in the sense that Barbara Peters, from one perspective, was a little bit exploited in terms of she ultimately ended up being on one side of things she did not expect in this. And of course, the amount of Corman-esque elements that get brought into this film. But it is a monster movie. It is aquatic horror. It is, again, man messing with nature run amok. And basically, you got this cannery cannery that is going to be opening up a plant near the small town of Morrow. And basically what they've been doing is pumping up the salmon, trying to get them to get, bigger, better, to, help out the fishing industry near the small California coastal town. What they don't realize is when these salmon break loose, somehow they're able to get out into the open ocean. There is a sort of evolution of this fish into, as they're being eaten by other creatures, into these humanoid creatures. Think Creature from the Black Lagoon meets Invaders from Mars, the Jack Nicholson flick. Think that, man. And so these things start running amok amongst this town, and dogs start disappearing, and eventually people start disappearing, and then of course eventually we find out these things, they just don't want food, they want to breed, and so you can leave that to your imagination. And of course this film in 1980 is in the shadow of Alien, of course, so you can think about some of that. In terms of names attached, Botine, what do you got? Botine, from The Thing, can't even think right now. Rob Botine. He is responsible for the humanoid creation, the actual suit, which there's only one of. There's two partial suits, and so there's only really one full, two partial suits, and yet you have this wonderful illusion play out before you that there are at least, 10, 12, 15 suits running around. That isn't, man. That is the maestro editor, Mark Goldblatt, who first got his teeth cut on Piranha. In terms of editing, he was a second unit guy on RoboCop. But man, he would make his name as an editor, and man, what he does on this job, especially at the end of the festival scene at the end when the humanoids are running amok, going crazy, he gets credit, man, for making this movie, man. His editing job is absolutely superb, and he'll do things like Halloween 2, the original Halloween 2. Terminator, and he'll just have his hands on a lot of movies in terms of editing. The Howling, Nightbreed, and even the latest one he did, the remake for Death Wish. Of course, Chris Wallace has his hands, he's one of a few that have his hands on the effects. You know him from The Fly, of course, and Return of the Jedi. But Rob Bottin, man, he has his hands on the actual creature's suit. The cinematography is pretty cool, in line with the editing, which is absolutely superb, and the composition, man. James Horner's name is attached to this. Of course, Aliens, Star Trek 2, Wolfen, even at the early part of his career, Up from the Depths, James Horner has his name on this thing, man. So, you got James Horner, Rob Bottin, Chris Wallace, Mark Goldblatt as editor, and Roger Corman, man, of course, has his hands all over this film, as it is his and New World Pictures production, right? And so really what you have, again, man messing with nature, run amok, and it is an aquatic creature feature, Roger Corman style, exploitive to some degree. Doesn't mess around, man, because when you start the movie within the first 10 minutes and you've already lost a little kid and a dog, you know you mean business. And it's great. The pacing's absolute. We were mentioning last night in our commentary on it just how insane the pacing is. Great. It never feels like there's any slow areas in this film at all. It just sort of speeds on right on by. And it is, for Corman flicks, man, it is way up there on the top of the heap in terms of enjoyable Roger Corman flicks. So, unfortunately, Barbara Peters did not get the entirety of a film that she thought she was going to get. But I think the effort that she brought laid a great foundation for the second unit director to come in and kind of flesh out more of the Corman-esque things, which really sort of amplifies the film. And really, in the end, man, it's one of those studio interferences, I guess, or producer interferences. I think that pays off. I know Peters wasn't happy with the end result, And I'd be curious. I wonder what her end result would have been. We'll never know. But it is what it is. When you go to work for Roger Corman, it is what it is. So 1980, man, we celebrate 1980 all week long, dropping new films, original films, reviewed films, all week long. 1980 was great, man. I'm just thinking The Fog and Friday the 13th, of course, the first one, Maniac. And then, of course, the Italian aspect to 1980. It's a phenomenal year, guys. It is a phenomenal year, and this is a pretty phenomenal movie, man. Just for all the reasons I said. So I'm going to leave it at that, man. Today is the Super Bowl, man. I am just so under the weather. But hopefully we'll be treated to a good Super Bowl. Hate that my Bills aren't there, but what can you do? Hopefully we'll be treated to a good game later on today. And with that being said, as always, go freaking Bills.
This is not a dream.